Hey guys, Marshall here, ahead of the show. We recorded this very recently, but things change day to day. So we usually talk about San Diego Comic-Con news. So at the time of recording, they hadn't canceled the convention yet, but just got notification that the convention will be canceled and they will roll over passes or refund folks for next year. So when you hear us talk about it, obviously that's out of date. But we usually talk about convention stuff. So thanks for listening, and I'll let you get into the show.
Commence primary ignition.
Hello and welcome to episode 163 of The Usual Podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things geek and pop culture. I'm your host, Marshall, and with me, as always, about a mile away, social distancing is real, is my co-host, Will. What's up, buddy?
What up, everybody? How we doing?
Isn't it just funny how, like, the last time we recorded, we were sitting in the same room, and we were talking about how, like, oh, it's nice to be in the studio together.
And I was like, it's like, no, like, get the hell away from me, man.
And now it's like we're in the same town, yet about a mile apart. And here we are. The world has changed. And, man, we'll get into it. But what's more important about this particular moment is we're still sitting here enjoying our usual frosty beverages. What are you drinking, my friend?
I am drinking a wonderful Blue Moon.
Nice, buddy. I'm drinking a lot these days. But that said, I've already finished my hazy little thing, IPA. And I moved on to a friend of ours dropped off a bottle of Jameson the other day.
Oh, really? Who was that?
Drinking that. Neat. So here we are.
Who was that fine gentleman?
This is a lady who's been a longtime customer of Pippi's, and she's been dropping off random stuff to us, buying socks and dropping off food and random things.
Well, if she feels like dropping a bottle of Captain over at my place, send her over.
Well, she gave us like a bottle of tequila, and then the Jameson showed up. I was like, well, I'm drinking that Jameson. So
nice.
I'm satisfied. So
did you know, well, you should know this because you were a bartender, but every bar that, theoretically, every bar that serves whiskey has at least two types of whiskey. One being Jameson's and the other one being Bushmills.
Mm-hmm. Because
one is done by a Protestant brewery or distillery, and one is done by a Catholic distillery. And this goes back to the old Catholic Protestant war between Ireland and England.
Interesting.
And then, unless you were to go into an Irish bar, then of course they're only going to have the Irish whiskey. If you go into but if you go into any standard bar, just to cut off that possible problem that one won't drink the other, right? Almost every bar has both.
Huh. I always wondered why there was both in all the bars I worked at. I never knew.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have like just one type of rum or one type of tequila or whatever, you always have at least those two types of whiskeys because it covers both the religious spectrum.
Well, here we are. I like that. So, before we get started, if you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. So make sure you like and share us on all the social medias. And, we're still here. It's okay.
We are.
Please like us and share us and all that. You can reach me at Darth Pops on Twitter, and Will is at I am Will Griggs. The best way to help us out is give us 5 stars on all the things: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play. Nope. Google Play? Oh yeah, Google Play. Podbean or Plex or wherever you find your podcast. So let's do that. Help us out. I know we've been sporadic at best, but crazy times, man.
Don't send us money. It's a waste of money right now.
Oh, yeah.
Just send us love and send us stars. That'll be good enough for us.
And we do still have our patrons, and let's thank them, our drinking buddies.
Yeah, because of them, we're allowed to have our server keep going.
Yeah, and we still have our drinking buddies, and people have changed their. I'm not going to name people by names because people have been changing their pledges and stuff like that. I just want to acknowledge anybody who has been or still is a drinking buddy. Thank you for doing that. And and anybody that's still supporting us on Patreon, we do appreciate that. But take care of your families first, please.
Absolutely.
And all right, man. Top of the show. What are we going to talk about first?
Let's just talk about a little personal news. Guess who's unemployed again?
Is it me?
Dude, I don't think you've been unemployed for as long as I've known you.
Dude, I haven't been unemployed since I was 9.
Even when you didn't have a job, you were still working at the commune, dude. No, and I'm not technically unemployed. I still get paid for the next 3 months, but as you all know, I became a teacher. Well, they decided to find a more qualified math teacher to take my position, and then I didn't get the positions I applied for. Yeah. So as of right now, I'm in line to become a substitute teacher for next year. But if we're still social distancing, that's not going to be a thing.
Yeah, we don't know what this school year looks like. It looks like we're not going to go back to school this year, almost for sure.
Well, it is for sure. Governor Newsom already said that we're not going back.
Well, yeah, so the county hasn't declared it yet, I don't think. But
right, but they're not going to overrule the state education board.
So as of now, we're not going back. And and this is a big shout out to our students, and I've lost touch with some of them. Sadly, I've reached out, I've texted, I got the yearbook done without, most of my students, and I'm just trying to maintain and reach out to the kids who are out there. But I mean, this is tough for them. And a lot of my kids who I'm thinking about right now are seniors, and this is their senior year. Kids I've taught for years are missing out on, prom and graduation, all that kind of stuff. And so my heart goes out to them. I mean, it's hard enough being home with our families, and trying to teach from home, but losing touch with those kids who, we want to see walk the stage in June, and all that's changed now. So, this is a weird time, man.
I will say that is one of the perks of teaching at a middle school. High schoolers are much more independent, so they're going to go off and do their own thing, right? Mm-hmm. So with Mike, I have six math classes, right? Or 5 math classes. And, so 3 times a week, noon on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I hold a Google Hangouts, and anybody in my 7th grade math classes who want to come and join, it's usually about 15 or 20 kids. And we usually just sit and talk about their pets and their siblings and talk about what things we're doing at home and everything. So it's not even about math at this point. It's just about making sure they're staying grounded and they're having an outlet for contact and everything. I mean, me as a Gen X introvert, I was, born for this stuff. I could go days without talking to people. But some of these kids, their everyday lives before this has been so stringently scheduled down to the minute that now that they've got all this free time, they don't know what to do with themselves. And so we try to.
And the other side of that too is these kids, they rely on the school for food, and they rely on the school for structure and parents. I mean, we are all but parents to some of these kids, and
absolutely,
and it's rough, man. And so I don't want to start the show on a down note, but at the same time, this is something that I deal with, we deal with every single day, and I held office hours yesterday. I was telling you off mic, but office hours yesterday with my digital media students, and I got maybe 5 or 6 that showed up out of 20 something. But at the same time, it's like, those are the kids. I just want to see them, I miss them, and they needed to see us,
Yeah. It's funny. I for the last, people have been trying to get me to become a teacher for as long as I've been in Fort Bragg. And which is really funny considering I wanted to be.
You're actually good at it, by the way.
And that's what I hear. But it's funny because when I was growing up, that's all I wanted to be, was a high school history teacher. Mm-hmm. And now I just decided it's not for me, right? I mean, I enjoy doing it, but the stress of it is just too much for me. You know what I mean?
It's a lot, man.
I do like the kids and everything, but sometimes it's just too much with the kids, right? But and you know me, I'm a blubber. I like to cry. And, the day before we left, the last day we were in school, this girl who had, and I won't use any names, because I do know some locals listen to this show. But she basically grew up hating math. She came into the school district late, for a reason I won't go into. But she was basically never taught how to do just simple math. Mm-hmm. And, math was her least favorite subject, and I took over his class, and then she and I just clicked, and I was teaching her and everything, and then she went from getting F's to getting B's. And
Crazy.
The last exam before we went off, she got a B on her own. Because I'd have to help walk her through her exam and everything, but no, she didn't need any help. She was able to figure it out. I mean, I do allow her to use a calculator during it and everything, but
that's a huge deal, though.
It is, but then
huge jump.
So she came up to me right before she left for going away. And she said, Mr. Grace, I just want to tell you that you're my favorite teacher now. Math used to be my least favorite subject. Now it's my favorite, which is funny considering I don't like math. I'm actually a historian. And she goes, but I just love coming into your class every day. And she got me crying, and we were crying. And I'm like, I want to give you a hug, but we're social distancing. And you're 12. And it's just like,
and you're 12.
And it's awkward, but it just made me feel so good. And those are the moments that I love.
Yeah. And I've been doing this for a while, man. And there's a lot of moments like that and moments I can think of, but at the same time, it's like, they always move on.
They do.
And they'll be okay. But at the same time, I worry about the ones right now that we haven't heard from. Like there are students I haven't heard from, and I don't know if they're okay. And that worries me to no end and keeps me up at night.
Yeah, that's one thing that's great at our school is we actually have a spreadsheet that whenever we hear from somebody we haven't heard from in like a week, that we go there and we like say, okay, we touch base with this person on this day. And so like,
we're doing that too.
Yeah.
There's still some that we haven't heard from.
Yeah. And so out of, I think there's like 130, 140 seventh graders, which is the only ones I can really control. There was only like 3 that we hadn't touched base with. And then they were able to get a hold of them last week, and they're fine. They just don't have internet. They're out in the boonies. We live in a rural area, so if you live 45 minutes out of town, you're not going to have great cell reception. And
the last I heard, actually, we have I think 530 at the high school, I think, and I think there's maybe 30 something of them we haven't heard from. So I think we're doing okay, and that's the thing, and all of us are trying to take care of our families and trying to also reach out and be there for others outside of our houses, because that's where we all are.
Exactly.
Anyway, so
the
any
whole
other business news?
The whole shop. I'm unemployed again. So if anybody knows of anybody that has a job opening around the country and doesn't want to give it to one of the 17 million people that are filing for unemployment right now, let me know.
Oh man. Yeah, it's crazy. And owning a small business right now is
I can't imagine what you guys are going through.
It's like, we're trying to sell stuff from home, but at the same time, the loan situation just ran out of money. And, we basically just found out that we probably aren't going to get the loans we thought we were because of the way the system is in our area. And it's just a mess, dude. And it just sucks. And, thankfully they just implemented the 12-month pay scale this year. So I'll actually get a paycheck in July.
Yeah. So that's the one thing is even though I got hired after that, they didn't let me apply for it. They didn't let me use it. So I won't get paid in July.
Right.
So
I said, man, yeah, but it's and that's the thing. And so, I still got my paycheck coming, but it's like, what's going to happen with small businesses across the country, not just ours,
Oh, exactly.
And it's like, and we don't want to lose every small business because the government isn't trying to help, and we're trying to do the right thing, not opening, and doing all the things we're supposed to do according to the governor. But, we also don't want to lose our livelihood, and we have to start paying our mortgage again. That's where it was coming from. So what are we going to do?
Exactly. Yeah.
So all that aside, all the darkness aside and the strife and everything else everybody's going through.
The upside of everybody being home is we all get a binge content.
Oh my God. Let's get to that. So, this show, and thank you, those of you that tune in and out of our show, and, our listenership has been pretty consistent, but I know we are far from consistent. So,
far from it.
Things have changed since last time we got together. We were actually supposed to record a couple weeks ago when all this started, and that just didn't happen. And so here we are. We're behind the mics again. We aren't doing it live.
No, but now
hopefully
that
maybe next time we will.
Yeah, well, now that I've got an actual setup at my apartment, we can do this at the drop of a hat anytime. So hopefully we can at least, if not consistent, do more regular. Yeah,
and I'd like to do this more often. And believe it or not, I actually miss you. So I know that was weird. So the point is, my friend, is that we're here. We're watching stuff. We're doing things. And I want to thank everybody who has been tuning into our show. And tell your friends if they want to, some suggestions for shows to watch and things going on in pop culture. We're going to try to get more consistent going forward. I just got to get some semblance of sanity in my life, and then we'll get that going. You would think it'd be easier to podcast and write, and I was like, I have all this time. I'll finish my book and blah, blah. I've written maybe 2,000 words since all this started.
I honestly don't know how you do it because you've got a wife, 2 kids, a dog, like 6 or 7 chickens, 2 cats.
1 cat. Remember, Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You brought it up.
You have a guinea pig. You got
that thing died a long time ago.
Crunch died?
Oh, so long ago, dude. Like 3 years ago.
No, not 3 years ago.
Okay. Well, after maybe the last time you watched it, it was not alive much longer after that. And that's nothing to do with you.
I know because I made sure that thing was alive. Although it freaked me out because I kept forgetting that you had a guinea pig. And whenever I was over there staying,
it was actually a hamster.
Hamster. I would hear like this like weird noise. I'm like, where the hell is that coming from?
What the hell is that?
And I'm like, oh, it's the wheel.
So anyway, yeah, we're maintaining, the kids are doing their chores and, we're doing PE, they're doing school from home and but all of us trying to work, like me just trying to work from home and do interviews and meetings and stuff in my office, and the kids got to practice piano, and then they're doing schoolwork, and my wife's trying to work and sell things, and it's like we're all in this space together, and it's chaotic, man. And yeah, well, it's up and down every day.
Yeah, I mean, with everyday life, you would all before would be doing that stuff, but you'd be at high school, she'd be at work, and the two kids would be at school. Now you're all in the same space, and you can't have all those overlapping schedules and not have any discombobulation. I mean, me and my cat's just being a little too demanding of me right now. I mean,
right,
like I sleep, and now it's no longer just like rubbing up against my legs at night. Like it's laying on me because it's
God.
You've been here for like 4 weeks, man. What are you still doing here? This is my apartment. You come
you
in.
Usually
and
leave.
I know, right? And so. I don't know what my cat's doing to me.
Well, my dog drives me crazy. He's howling in the backyard, and then I'm like, I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to walk him every day, and then I'm like, I gotta get exercise. I gotta do something, and so I gotta figure some stuff out, man, because otherwise I'm just gonna drink and fade into oblivion.
Yeah. The one good thing is I still have my Disney World trip planned for December.
Oh, okay.
And so
that
it's
can still happen.
Yeah. Well, we've already put down a big chunk of it, and it's already in the hotel's already reserved, everything. So hopefully December, it'll all be open back up. If not, they're going to allow us to push it back. Because, Disney's being very cool about that.
Well, I also just looked too, because there's something else I want to talk about, but that's the end. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. So let's start. What have you been binging?
I don't know if binging's the right word. First and foremost, do we have a gaming section now? Is that what we're doing?
Well, it's always been there. I just kind of filled it in.
No, but do I want to talk? I'll talk about my gaming later. So besides playing video games, and to be fair, we've all been back to video games in my house. That's our semblance of sanity, and I'll talk more about that later. But I've been watching some TV on my own, some with my family, and some with the wife. So I'll start with what I've been watching with the entire family. We always watch the Goldbergs, but we're almost we're almost caught up to real time on that. We watched Trolls World Tour, which was kind of cool. That was and that was a big experiment, really. And the movie was fucking, I don't even care about it anymore, cussing, but it was freaking cool.
Yeah.
It was a really cool movie.
I really liked the first one. Plus, I love Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake, so they're great. Yeah. I haven't watched the second one, the World Tour yet, but the first one was really good.
It was really well done. Really well done. A lot of fun. $20. It actually was about probably half the price we spend going to the actual movies.
Yeah, with 4 tickets and plus all the
tickets alone is more than $20.
Yeah.
So that was totally worth it. So we rented that. I think the first night or second night it was available. So we watched that. It was a lot of fun. Watched the Dragon Prince, the newest season of that. We love that show. That show's so good.
I've never even heard of it.
It's a Netflix anime style show. It's really, 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 really good. It's the third season we just finished. Really, inclusivity, really, fantasy, really well done storytelling, good characters. It's a great show.
Cool.
And then we've been watching Scrubs. We tried Friends and we tried The Office with the kids, and they don't quite get it. Friends is not appropriate, really. Office I think would work, but it's a little cringy sometimes, and so I think that was kind of hard.
As you go further into Friends, is what I think would be awkward with your family. For how they were so inclusive in a lot of parts, they have every single episode has a really off-point gay joke.
Oh yeah, a lot of homophobia, a lot of that,
which is odd because they have the first lesbian wedding on TV.
Yeah, and it's crazy, right?
Yeah, and they had gay marriage and all this stuff going on, but they had just some really rampant homophobic jokes, and it's like, wow.
And it's like literally in the first episode, and it's like, oh, okay, I think we're done. But we've been watching Scrubs, and that's been like kind of a nice happy medium. There's a lot of, sex talk, but not
There's a lot
overtly.
of innuendo, but not overt.
Yeah, and there's some moments where it's like, well, maybe not that appropriate, but at the same time, like the humor's there. It's fun to watch them daydream. The music's good. It's a wonderful show. And my wife and I, that was one of the first sitcoms her and I watched together when we first met. And so
Plus,
it's kind of nice to share that with the kids.
I swear that you and I are JD and Turk.
Oh, for sure, dude. For sure. I don't know who I am, but I'm just kidding.
There's an episode of where they're stealing all the pudding cups, and JD's got the whole trunk of pudding cups, and there's a talk that they're sitting on the trunk and they're eating the pudding cups, and there's a talk, and that talk totally reminds me of you and I.
Oh yeah, for sure. But we love it, and so we're having fun with that. We're like on episode 12 or something.
My brother introduced his 2 kids to the Matrix this week.
Oh, see, and there's some stuff I've thought about, but it's like, if it's rated R, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah, well, his kids are 13 and 9, or 13 and 8. So they're about, and they were like, they weren't like catching on like the first 15 minutes, but then they were just like wrapped from what he said. They were just like so into it.
Yeah, and we've watched some other movies and stuff. I can't even think of. I'd have to think of which ones they were, but we've been trying to introduce. Oh, we watched the National Treasure movies.
Oh, really?
And they really like those. That was a lot of fun.
They're actually in talks. They're talking about that they're finally writing the 3rd one.
Yeah, finally. The kids were even asking, "Is there a 3rd one?" Because we watched the first 2, and they really like that. But let's see. So that's what I'm watching with the kids. With me and Kate, we've been watching Trevor Noah. He's doing his social distancing show, which is really nice. It's nice to still have him doing that. He's still doing interviews and stuff like that. And the correspondents are funny as hell. And I love Trevor. Tales from the Loop is amazing as well. That's on Amazon. It's 8 episodes, 7 or 8. I can't remember. And it's a slower paced show, super well shot. Story is legit, but it's like, you can't really tell what year it is for the most part, but it's kind of like old timey, but with sci-fi stuff in it. And it's like basically this little community around what they call the Loop, which is like this research lab thing. And there's all this weird stuff going on, and they follow like a certain character every episode. And then they, loop back to other characters later. It's really, really well done. Definitely worth a watch.
It kind of loosely reminds me of Eureka, which I loved.
Yeah, Eureka. We love that show. That was good.
And how it connected to Warehouse 13.
Oh, that's a good one, actually. Eureka would be fun for the kids.
Oh, they would.
Anyway.
That's totally what they would love, Eureka.
Yeah, that might be fun. And the other thing Kate and I have been watching is Dave. If you haven't seen Dave, it's an FX show. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's about this white Jewish rapper, and he's trying to make it big in the rap world. And it's really hard to explain. Just watch it. It's hilarious, also deep at times. It's really well done, and we really enjoy it.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about it off mic before the show, and how right before the shelter in place order, the rapper, the star of Dave, was on Trevor Noah.
Yeah,
one of his last in studio shows.
Oh, it's so good, dude. Watch the show. Watch it. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's on my list. What else have you been watching with the wife?
With the wife, last thing we were watching, of course, like everybody else, we watched The Tiger King. It's dude, I'm telling you, you don't like okay, let me circle back, because we're gonna come back to Tiger King in just a second, okay? Because right. you seem upset, and I want to come back.
Okay,
I want to come back to it. So I've been watching by myself. My shows, I watch a lot of space shows and documentaries and stuff. I'm obsessed right now currently with America in Color. Have you seen this series?
I have not.
It came out in it started in 2017. The first season is decades. So it starts in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right?
Right.
And what's really cool about it is maybe it's 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I think that might be it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's all old footage that they colorized, and then they're also telling the story of America through that footage.
That's cool.
it's brilliantly done. Super, super cool. And
Is this on Netflix?
This is on, what am I watching? No, it's on the Smithsonian Channel, actually.
Okay.
Amazon has the first season. If you're a Prime member, first season's free. And I was like, why can't I watch anymore? And they're like, you have to do this. And then I was like, wait, I have YouTube TV. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just see if I have the Smithsonian Channel? And I do. So I'm watching the mess out of that.
Awesome.
And it's really, really cool. And the next season kind of focuses on various things. So I just watched the episode that had to do with the Titans of Industry, which is Ford, Firestone, and Edison, and, you know, stuff like that. And so it's really, and then they did this gangster one, which was really cool. Like, you know, the American Underground and stuff like that in the Old West. And it's super cool.
That's cool.
So
I'll have to check that out.
I'm literally in love with that right now. And you know me, I like my decades shows and stuff like that about, you know, especially have to do with pop culture. Okay. So I'm done, except for my podcast listening to. I haven't listened to a lot of audiobooks. I've been trying to write. So I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. That's just a normal thing. Yeah. So I'm not even going to bother with those, but let's go back to Tiger King.
Okay. So Tiger King, I have not watched it, Tiger King. But the reason being is my sister Donna has watched it, and she and her wife watched it. They loved it because my sister loves basically anything that's on investigation discovery. And they had a show a few years ago about people that owned exotic animals that end up getting their comeuppance. Okay. Right? So like there's one about a married couple that owned a chimpanzee for, you know, like a decade and a half. Yeah. But then ended up getting too big and it ended up like eating their faces off, you know, crap like that. You know, somebody that had a tiger in Harlem and stuff like that. And so this was right up their alley. But I'd already heard about Joe Exotic because one of the big shows that I listen to I watch is Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. And back in 2016, he had a whole episode about Joe Exotic because he had Joe Exotic had come up with a weird running for president platform.
Oh yeah, that's in the documentary. Exactly. We gotta watch it, dude.
And so there's a whole episode of John Oliver about Joe Exotic and that whole thing. Yeah. And it's just like I'm just not. It doesn't interest me at all.
Listen. And this is, I've known you 20 years. Okay, you know me in reality shows and stuff about like things like this, right?
Right.
You know how I feel about it. Yeah. I would be saying exactly what you were saying. One night, Kate and I were just like, screw it. We'll just put it on and see how it goes. Like within 2 minutes, you will not stop watching this. And it's only because it's the way it's done. It's not like, it's almost, they piecemeal out the events in such a way to where it's like, and it's not sensationalized. It's not like anything that you probably think it is.
Right.
It's actually a good documentary about some crazy ass people that do some weird ass shit. And it's really good, man. I know you're resistant to it and I'm resistant to stuff too, but I'm encouraging you to just give the first episode a shot. And if you still feel the way you do, I can respect that. Okay. And I was fully aware. I was fully ready to not even bother with the second episode when I started it. And within 2 days we were done.
Okay, well, this is actually going to kind of circle back to something I'm going to talk about later, but you know me, if I watch one episode, I'm going to have to watch it all. Even if I don't like it, I'll watch it all. And so, all right.
It's only 8 episodes.
I know. All right, so, well, didn't they just come out with the 9th one?
Yes. No. I don't care about that. And I think that's a weird cash grab kind of different behind the scenes kind of thing. You got to watch it for what it is, for who made it and when they did it. It's so good the way they did it, dude.
All right, I'll put it on my list, and I'll do that.
Nope. That means you're never going to watch it. I know you.
Hey, I'm watching
your on your list.
I'm getting to everything on my list. Talking about my list.
You're so stupid.
No, this is okay. So we in our last episode, I think I talked about how I just started watching The Hunters. So I finished watching The Hunters. That's really good. Put that on your list. Yeah. There's a British show that has just been showing over the last 3 nights, and I want to watch it. It's called Quiz. And it stars Michael Sheen. And I don't know if you know about I think it was 10, 15 years ago, there was a big scandal on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where a husband and wife had cheated to win the $1 million. Where the wife was like coughing from the audience. at strategic times.
What?
Yeah, and so all this is going on. Well, this is a 3-part miniseries done about that scandal. And so I want to check that out. Yeah, especially since Michael Sheen is playing the host of the show, right? And this was I think the British version of that's why it's on BBC. I think it was the British version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That's why it wasn't like Regis Philbin or Meredith Vieira. It was a British host. So that's on my list. I started watching The Plot Against America, which is a alternate history, like kind of like Man in the High Castle. But what this is about is in 1940, there was a big, not necessarily because I don't want to say 1940, let's say mid-30s. Hitler wasn't known to be a bad guy yet. So fascism wasn't seen as being evil yet. I mean, hell, I think Hitler was Times Man of the Year in 1933. Something like that, right? So anyways, but a lot of people don't realize that Charles Lindbergh, the guy who was the first person to fly over the Atlantic and had his baby kidnapped, all that stuff, he was a very big Nazi sympathizer, and he was very uber Nazi.
And that was mentioned in the America.
Oh, really? And
in color.
So what this show does is it takes the premise of what would have happened if in 1940 there was a big groundswell, kind of like what put Trump into office in 2016, but Lindbergh wins over Roosevelt. And so Lindbergh is president going into World War II and not Roosevelt. And so we have a Nazi sympathizer in the White House instead. And how does this affect social conformity in the U.S., race relations, all that stuff?
Wow.
And it's sold from the viewpoint of a Jewish family.
So is this a I don't know, a drama series?
Yeah, it's a drama series. It's not a documentary.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah, Winona Ryder's in it. What's her name? Zoe
Deschanel?
No, her Kazan. Zoe Kazan. Her grandfather was Elia Kazan, the guy who was blacklisted, but wrote On the Waterfront, and like he won 3 Oscars for screenwriting. He was one of the main people who was blacklisted that never really made it back. So I've been watching that. I have not been watching Tiger King. I've been catching up on shows.
Stop it.
I've been catching up on shows that I never finished before. So like I used to watch Scorpion, right, which was on for 4 years about this think tank group that solved problems for the government, and it was all it was like 4 geniuses, right? Mm-hmm. And there was like 6 episodes of that. So I finally watched the last 6 episodes of that show. So I finished that. I hadn't watched like the last 7 episodes of Scandal. And so I finally watched that. So I'm finishing shows that I like used to watch that I'm not caught up on. So
yeah, we never finished Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'd like to go back to. And we also didn't finish The Boys. Did you ever watch The Boys?
Oh, I did. That was great. I watched that.
Yeah. I think we missed. I don't think we finished the last like 2 episodes, 3 episodes.
Oh, it ends really good. So watch that. Also on my list to finish is like Black Mirror, because like I watched the first 2, but I didn't watch the and then I watched I
don't watch every episode of Black Mirror actually. And to add a cool thing to watch, it's Black Mirror like, and I think I might have mentioned this last time we recorded, but I can't remember. It's the Electric Dreams. The Philip K. Dick thing, yeah. On Amazon. That's really good too.
Yeah.
Watch that.
So that's on my list to watch. But I've also been watching like some old school great stuff, right? It's like I'm on season 9 of Law and Order. I'm on season 3 of ER. I'm on
You're crazy.
What else have I been watching? I'm on the first season of CSI. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching some of these to see how they hold up, right? Law and Order definitely holds up. ER is still fascinating. CSI, out of anything, is the one that doesn't hold up because it's all about technology. And now you look at some of the stuff that they're doing, like, yeah, that's like 25-year-old technology, which is what it is, right?
Well, and it's also funny because we're watching Scrubs, and they're like, and I do know because I have I know people in the medical field that they still use pagers, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have cell phones, really?
Yeah, like, that's the weird thing.
In the first season, like the second and third episode, Elliot is on a payphone, and like it's really interesting to see how these things go.
Yeah, that's another thing about ER is like everybody has pagers, but nobody like they don't have cell phones. And so it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, I just watched the episode a few nights ago where it was, I think it's in season 3, and Omar Epps was having a really tough time as one of the surgical residents. And he ends up committing suicide by jumping in front of one of the L trains.
Oh, shit.
And he gets brought in, but he's so mangled. And so they're trying to page him, trying to get him into the trauma room to help. And the pager on the table is going off. And that's how they realize it's him.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, God, it was such a heartbreaking scene. And it still gets me. I was crying when I was watching it. And one of my friends from high school was on ER, I think season 9 or 10 for like 10 episodes. And so I'm like,
that's cool.
Yeah, so I was friendly with him in high school. We weren't like, we didn't hang out and
still
didn't have lunch or anything, but we were friendly. And he's been in a whole bunch of other stuff. He was in Almost Famous. He was in Band of Brothers. Holding other cool stuff, but he was on Once Upon a Time. But he was in 10 episodes of ER. So I'm like looking forward to getting to that, but that's still like 6 years away.
Say that's probably several seasons from now.
Yeah, 6 seasons away. Actually, it's funny. I was looking back at his career a few months ago, and one of the first things he did was a hiatus show, back before the days of streaming and everything. You had major shows and they would go off on hiatus during summers or shortened seasons, whatever. And there was a show called Party of Five, obviously. Remember Party of Five was on after...
I used to watch it.
Yeah. Well, it went on hiatus, and there was this show that got a limited run of like 9 episodes called Significant Others, and he was one of the main stars of it. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the other main stars was Jennifer Garner, and it was one of her first things.
No shit.
And so his first on-screen kiss was with Jennifer Garner. And so it's... I look back...
I don't feel sorry for him.
Oh, no. No. And... yeah, so it's kind of fun to look back on his career and stuff and see stuff like that. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm catching up on old stuff. I really haven't been listening to a lot of podcasts. I really should, because I have a whole bunch of podcasts on my, I listen to like all the serial killer type podcasts. The one I have been listening to is the one about secret societies. And I just watched I just listened to a 2-parter on the Knights Templar, which is really good.
And if you like comedy mixed with real events and history, I was going to mention this earlier, but Do Go On is really, really good. It's 3 Australian, 2 dudes and a guy, 2 dudes and this girl, and they're hilarious, man. And it's called Do Go On, and they one of them will do a report, but then the other ones will crack jokes and stuff throughout, and it's really funny. It's good.
Is it?
So I've been listening to that.
Sans Pants?
They are friendly with them, but they're not. It's not a Sans Pants show.
It's not affiliated. Got it. Cool.
No. They're part of the a different podcast network.
Cool.
But well, are we done with what we're watching?
Yeah, let's go on to gaming. What games have you been playing? Because everybody's playing games.
Oh man, playing games. I started this whole thing I just was playing Civ 6, and I was like, okay, I have time to play games, and I need something kind of more mindless. So I actually went back to SWTOR, and I got my kids into SWTOR.
Oh,
believe
nice.
it or not. So all 4 of us sat down one Saturday. I think it was the second Saturday of this whole thing.
And
you
got a raid party right there.
Yeah, and so I got us, we all created characters, we ran around together for a little bit, and then the kids were like, okay, I think I'm done. And then the next day, they made new characters, and they were playing on their own, they were having a great time. Rowan is like a level 33 Vanguard on one of her characters right now.
Holy crap.
So she's playing. Kate hasn't gone back to it, and I caught up on stuff. I with my main on SWTOR, I finished the storylines, all the most current storylines, and that was a lot of fun, going through all of that.
Speaking of that, I jumped in with my main, which was, my sniper, and I'm caught in a bug on Mechshaw. It's right when you first get to Mechshaw and you hook up with Hilo Viz and the Deveronian. I can't remember his name. Galt. And
Galt. Yeah.
And it's like the second line into the cutscene, and my game crashes. I try to skip past it. It just crashes. And I don't want to reset the whole thing because I don't want to go back to having to go to the previous planet and redo the whole quest again. So
that's weird.
So I've got to figure that out. So I said, okay, well, since I can't get into that,
Put in a bug report though, for
yeah,
sure.
I need to do that. So I went and played some of the Rackle event last week, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to look at my item stash because I've cleaned out my crate loot, but I hadn't looked in my item stash for a while. So it's like I finally said, okay, well, what do I have already unlocked in collections? What can I sell? So I had to wait for the 2 days for it to all the unbind, right? So I could sell it. So I say, you know, I'm going to play the GTN, which I haven't done in years.
Yeah.
And so I just like went through all of my item stash. I went through everything.
Now's the time to do it.
I know, right? And I went through everything in my legacy hold that wasn't bound. And I just started saying, okay, well, what can I sell? Whether it was like, you know, averaging like $2,000 on the GTN or for 40 million. I was like, okay, I'm just going to put everything I can on there. And then I bought a hyper crate that was on sale right now, and I got that.
Yeah.
And so I went through that again, unlocked everything I could for my collection so I could get my percentages up. And so I've been holding, it turns out I've had this, one of the Watchman hover chairs in my item stash for like 3 years. And those things go for like 40, 50 mil.
Yeah.
And so I put it in there. It didn't sell. So I'm going to put it back in and just keep putting it back in until it sells. But I just went back in right before I logged in, literally like minutes before we started podcasting, just to see how much, because all my timers had run out, how much I pulled in. And just for like going in and spending a lot of time, I pulled in 4 million credits.
Nice, dude.
And so I'm going to go back in, put it all back on for sale, add in the stuff because you're limited to 50 spots.
Yeah.
And so I had like a total of 70 things. So, and I think I sold 15 or 20. So I'll be able to put in all the other stuff, and I'll just be able to just kind of sell through. And so if I can, then I can go in and buy like all the emotes and the titles and stuff that I need to fulfill my collections and stuff.
I liked a lot of the quality of life improvements in the last couple updates have been great. Like the crafting stash has been awesome. Like
I do like
everything.
The crafting stash, yeah.
Like that's been really good. And then I like the changes to previewing things and moving equipment around and stuff like that. That's been really nice. And I haven't experimented too much with the new Renown system or whatever, but it's
I haven't even looked at what Renown is yet. So I've been thinking that
Well, once you get to 75 instead of, command points, it's Renown now. So that's
I've
that's
never
what
even
that
finished
is.
off command points. So like I've gotten to 75, but I think I'm on command 90 something, and it goes to like 180 or something.
No, but all that stuff goes away, and then it turns into Renown now. It's the command stuff's gone.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've shifted all that.
So I need to get on SWTOR videos and find out what Renown is.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of gaming, so the main thing I've been spending my time with in the last week or so is because it was my birthday about a week ago.
Right.
And
happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks, man. I treated myself and I was like, you know what? I really wanted to buy this game. I really loved SimCity back in the day, but the most recent SimCity was kind of a bummer. And I'm like, but I've been seeing on Steam, there's this other game called Cities, Skylines. And I'm like, well, that looks really cool. The reviews are great, blah, blah, but it was like that plus the expansions after like 4 or 5 years of being out. It's like, oh man, it's pretty pricey. And so I bought a couple of the expansions, the beginner pack or whatever. And I really had a fun time with it. And then, a couple of days later, I may have bought the rest of the expansions, and spent a lot of time. It's very addicting. It's super fun. It's a really nice, way to, cause I listen to podcasts or audiobooks or watch something while I'm doing, and that's the perfect kind of game to be able to do that. And it's been really saved my sanity a bit. And I really, really enjoy, City Skylines. So that's what I've been playing the mess out of.
Actually, I think I might do tonight is once we get off here, I think I might, throw on some TV or a podcast or something. And, there's an online emulator for Civ 2.
Oh, that's
which is
sick,
it's nice. It's so old and outdated, but it's still my favorite one to play.
No, that's fun, dude.
So
that's been a lot. I played all the Civs. I love them.
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, one of our good friends, Jesse Stardust, had posted talking about how Square Enix was giving away free versions or free copies of the Tomb Raider 2013 remake.
Oh, right.
And so I got in there, and it was actually only through British. So I went through and I ordered it, and so I got it for free. And I've been playing that, and I'm about 75% through with the game. which is
Nice.
great. But the cool thing is there's a whole bunch of achievements, right? And hidden achievements and stuff. And up to that point, I've actually gotten 100% of all the achievements so far.
No way.
Yeah, I'm going through methodically playing this.
Yeah.
And
Wow, dude.
and so
I haven't played Tomb Raider since I was a kid.
well, I never played the original. This
is the first one.
This is the first version of Tomb Raider I've ever played.
Really?
And so I like the story. It's fun. Some of the one thing I don't like is where it has cutscene right into an action thing, and it's always like really specific on where you've got to hit stuff. And my mechanics has never been great.
Yeah.
That's why first person shooter games and I don't mix. Is I'm not too fleet of finger, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it takes me a few times to get through some of those hard ones, but it's fun and I'm enjoying it. So I'm hoping to finish that in the next few weeks.
Cool.
I know PS4 is running a special right now where you can get the whole. They have the Drake Uncharted chest, which is the first 3 games for free, but only for PS4.
Okay.
And then right now, actually for the month of April, you can get the 4th one for free. So basically, you can go on and get all the Uncharted games for free right now if you're on PS4.
Uncharted's sick, from what I hear.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
I want to get those, but I only have PC, so I think I might just try to find a cheap copy of the first one and see if I like it.
Yeah, why not?
Especially since it seems like Tom Holland is going to be playing it once we get back from Shelter in Place.
Yeah.
And then I've just been playing the mess out of my mobile games, which I really need to stop. I spend too much time on my mobile games.
Yeah, I don't play any mobile games anymore. I'll be honest with you. I don't play. There was a couple I was still playing. I was playing the Assassin's Creed one for a little bit. I go back to Galaxy of Heroes and I go back to Marvel Puzzle Quest every once in a while, but I can't do it anymore. If I start doing that, then I spend too much time on my phone, especially with all the stuff right now as it is. And so I make a point of not playing games on my phone, at least.
Well, since I'm not too active in my work meetings because of my weird employment status right now, I just have my phone on my desk and I play my games while the meetings are going on.
No, it makes sense.
And so that's what I do.
Totally get it.
And that, or while I'm watching TV or something like that.
Well, you've seen my setup. I do all kinds of shit on my other screen while meetings are going on.
Okay. Let's play a little over under right now on how many tabs Marshall's got open in his window. I'm going to say 35.
Oh. 35. Oh, across all my windows that are open?
Yeah.
Well, that's more than that, dude. Just in the window I have, just for my usual account, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22. I have 23 tabs open just on the screen I'm looking at right now.
God, Marshall doesn't use, he uses bookmarks, but he doesn't use bookmarks as they're intended to be used.
No, I don't like bookmarks
very
much.
He just has tabs open for everything, which just cracks me up.
Yeah. And that's on one account. I have 4 Gmail accounts.
Jeez, you're hilarious. All right. So let's step out of gaming really quick and let's talk about you've always been the t-shirt person. Have you bought any t-shirts recently?
No, I'm not doing a lot of purchasing right now. Outside of, and that's why the city's Skylines thing was a bit of a stretch because I'm not trying to buy extraneous things right now. But I have not been buying too many t-shirts. I got some gifts for my birthday, though. I got a couple gaming t-shirts and that kind of thing, and so that was kind of cool. So basically, all my t-shirt accruing right now is via gift.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm not buying too many right now, but
well, I don't buy a ton because I wear a 5X, right? And not a lot of T Fury or T Public or all these places will like go up to 3X. They don't have a lot of my sizes, right? So when I do find one that I really like, I get it. So actually, about 2 months before we went into Shelter in Place, I bought one a Disney themed shirt that was based on Soarin' Over California. And
nice.
It's Patrick Warburton and him giving the thumbs up saying, "Nice work, pal."
Oh, I love that.
And so it shows the paper airplane and it says "Nice work, pal" on it. And so what I did is I would wear it on testing days at school. And so whenever the kids turn in their test, I'd say, "Nice work, pal."
Nice work, pal.
Because it's during the preview video on Soarin' Over California.
Oh, for Soarin'.
Yeah, it's the little kid that buckles his own seatbelt. Nice work, pal. So that's one that I love that I wear. And then anybody who follows my, like you said, you've got other accounts. I have the usual podcast that I'm part of, but I also do the Daily Dose of Disney. And I have something I'm kind of starting up now, but I'm not pushing it as hard as I did Daily Dose of Disney. It's just something called Absurd Completionist. Because, me, I'm an absurd completionist. Like, if I start something, I try to watch all that content, right? It's like we were talking about Tiger King. Like, if I watch the first episode, even if I don't like it, I'm going to watch all 8.
Just watch the first episode.
Exactly.
And then tell me about it. That's all I want.
will tell you, I started watching Schitt's Creek.
I've heard that's really good.
And I watched the first
season.
season. It's good. I wouldn't say great yet, but I think it's supposed to get better, so I'm going to watch that.
I hear it's really good later, but
so I have a whole design. You can follow me at Absurd Completionist stuff, but the design for it is a skeleton in a hoodie with a pair of headphones on because he's literally died while consuming content.
That's great.
And so I made a T-shirt of it, and I ordered it, and it's actually sitting at my work box because I had it delivered to work. And I just haven't had a chance to go into work to get it because we're limited on the amount of time we can go into work.
Right.
And so next time I go into work, which will be sometime next week, I'm going to finally pick it up and be able to watch it because it's been sitting there for about a month just waiting for me.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, so those are the 2 new T-shirts I bought. I bought new bedding for my bed, so that's kind of cool.
Nice. Yeah. I think the main thing is, I think the crux of where we're all at right now in our last little, when we get to the end of the show, usually we end up talking about convention season.
Yeah.
Right.
And right now we're at the beginning of convention season, theoretically.
Yeah. And so, and this is something I talked about on my other podcast, Just Keep Writing. I was supposed to meet up with some of my writing community friends, next month, early next month, actually, in only a couple of weeks. We were supposed to be all in Indianapolis for MoCon, and that got canceled, a month or more ago. I was supposed to go to Napa for my anniversary, a week ago, and that is, these things are kind of a bummer, but there's some stuff that we need to talk about that have been canceled, that haven't been canceled. So in my writing world, the big one right now that hasn't been canceled yet is in September when I do my Writing Excuses cruise, right? And this year was my big year. I was staff. I'm going to get to record the podcasts for the writers, and
yeah,
I'm
I don't know,
really looking forward to that.
Even if it's not canceled, it's a cruise.
No, I know.
And cruises are so dangerous right now.
I know, and so I think they're trying to come up with an alternative to the cruise aspect of it. I think it's still going to happen depending on where the world is at that time. But again, that's a different thing. So that's up in the air. But obviously up to this date, currently we're in the middle of April. Conventions have been canceling left and right.
Yeah.
Every convention.
Big ones, Emerald City Comic-Con was canceled and then rescheduled for later in the year. Phoenix Fan Fest has been canceled, pushed to later in the year. Silicon Valley Comic-Con, I think, has been canceled and no new date set. E3 has been canceled. PAX East was canceled. PAX West, I'm sure, is going to be canceled. WonderCon was canceled.
Yeah. And speaking of WonderCon is also part of the family of Comic-Con International,
right? Which
also does San Diego Comic-Con, and that's those are the 2 last holdout right now.
Yeah, that one and D23. Both of neither one have been set yet, but they're
and is D23 in July as well, right?
Yeah, they're both near the end of the conventions. Well, they're the last 2 major ones. The very last major one is always New York City in October.
Okay,
but those are the last 3 major ones. Or New York Comic Con is in October, and then you've got San Diego and D23 both in July, and
as of right now, San Diego's not canceled.
Yeah, same with D23 and same with New York City. But, with Disney, everything has been canceled up until June 1st. So I'm sure once we get the next wave of info about that, it'll probably be involved in that. I do know some of their stuff that they do on the side for like their D23 members. Like, I was really excited because who's my favorite Disney character?
Oh, is that a real question?
Yeah, come on, dude. You know me 20 years. Who's my favorite Disney character?
Goofy.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a stuffed animal of him on my desk at work.
Come on, dude.
Anyways.
I thought you were joking.
No. Well, this year is the 25th anniversary of the Goofy movie.
Right.
And they were going to be doing a screening of it in San Francisco this month with Bill Farmer, who does the voice of Goofy.
No way.
And Bill
man.
Farmer was going to come there for the greet and everything, and I wanted to go do that, but they canceled it. Now they've been doing an online virtual thing, which just isn't the same.
No, but still.
And so, but that sort of stuff is still being canceled. But yeah, they haven't actually gotten to D23 yet.
And so what I want to focus on San Diego Comic-Con for just a minute. I think that will inevitably be canceled.
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
see any. I don't see any scenario unless all of the things we're doing go really well and they have some sort of.
Even if they do lax things, there's no way there's going to be something that has 250,000 people.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's way too much.
But so the fact that they haven't canceled yet is a bit of a mystery, and I think it has to do with, from what I've understood from a couple podcasts I listened to, the holdout is around the fact that they're waiting for the city to say they can't do it.
Yeah, which makes sense because you got to remember that everyone's already started doing hotel bookings because they've already done the hotel registrations, right?
Yeah. Well, no, they haven't done early bird or anything like that yet because and it makes sense. They would have announced it by now.
Yeah.
March. They would have done it in March.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, it's going to get canceled, but they're just they don't want to be the bad guy. They're waiting for San Diego to be the bad guy.
And if San Diego is the bad guy, then they can deal with it monetarily as well.
Exactly.
A little bit better. And so I think that's where they're going.
Now, now how this affects us personally, I know off mic, you and I talked about how this might be our last Comic-Con for a while.
Right.
Is that going to push that back a year? Or are we just going to make it where next year's going to be, if next year's back to normal?
In a perfect world, if they do cancel and just say, okay, we're going to skip this year and go to next year rather than postpone it, then
we should still have our press pass.
It would make sense that we keep our press pass. Everybody who has badges for this year, it just rolls to next year.
Right. Because this is going to be our last year with our press pass being valid.
Right. And so that would make the most sense to me if they cancel and they say, okay, everybody who has badges, that is now going to be a 2021 badge, and they move forward from there.
Although if you were to reapply as writing excuses and I have reapplied as Daily Dose of Disney, we might actually qualify again.
Just keep writing, I mean. Writing excuses.
God, why do I do that? I do that all the time.
You do.
Just keep writing. Fine. You know what I mean? And so anyways, but this would impact, Puck, we're on Puck 5 now, right?
It would be Puck 5.
Yeah. So we'll keep you up to date. Whenever we find out more information about SDCC, you'll find out more about Pucks.
For sure. And, and I haven't even bothered trying to start planning for Comic-Con yet, because by now we would have already had our accommodations. I'd probably be almost about to pull the trigger on some plane tickets.
We'd be talking to, was it Deborah from Mission Brewery?
Oh, no. Yeah, she's not there anymore, but someone else. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, we would have been arranging all this stuff already. But, I just can't imagine it's going to happen.
Oh, and I don't think there's any possible way.
And even if it does, I don't think I'm going to be able to go.
No.
If they're breaking any rules at all, my wife's going to be like, yeah, you're not getting on a plane and going anywhere.
No, exactly.
So, anyway, man, anything else we want to talk about this week? I want to do this more often.
So do I.
But we're also going to run out of we haven't talked about a lot of the other things too. Movies being pushed back and stuff like that. Like, maybe we should do next episode on, where the movie industry is right now. Yeah.
And actually there's a really good, even if you just look at the Disney company, which is actually, gosh, there's a whole bunch of drama going. We didn't even talk about the whole drama coming about Bob Iger taking back over, about Apple's possible hostile takeover. Have you heard about that? That Apple's trying to do a hostile takeover of the Disney Corporation?
No. What?
Oh yeah, dude. There's drama going on.
Oh man.
So
maybe we should see how it all shakes out first.
Exactly. But one of the things that's a main part of this is what's happening with the film industry, because for example, Disney can do like one of like, this will be a whole nother episode. But basically, they've like pushed back Black Widow. They've released Artemis Fowl direct to stream. Well, they will be releasing Artemis Fowl directly to streaming.
Yeah, it's coming next month.
Right. They did an early release of Onward and Frozen. There's a whole bunch of things that they can do. But
Onward was brilliant, by the way.
I loved Onward. It was great.
So good.
But there's a whole bunch of different things that you have to take into account, especially having to do with marketing funding. So that's something we'll talk about next time.
Sounds good, man. So ready?
Ready?
So thanks for tuning in to The Usual Podcast. If you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, we're on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter, and Will is at IMO Griggs. Like us and share us on all the social medias and share your friends. If you'd like to help the show out, and by all means, please take care of your family first. But the best ways to do that would be teespring.com/store/usual podcast, patreon.com/usual podcast, or audibletrial.com/usual podcast. So help us out if you want, but take care of your family first. And we're all going to be okay, and we will get through this. Right, my friend?
Yeah. And by God, have a hand wash.
Have a hand wash by the gods. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Good change up, dude. I like that.